in the car, at home, or at work. It's always free to listen to WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM and Melissa in the Morning.
It is a Financial Friday with Bridgelight Financial Advisors. Joining us back on the show is Bill Leavitt. Our buddy Bill, he is the founder and principal advisor at Bridgelight Financial Advisors, joining us this morning. Hey, Bill, what's going on?
Hi, Melissa. How are you today?
Doing fine, thank you. I'm so glad to have you back. I know we're talking about retirement income when heading into the next phase of life and selecting it. So this is certainly something up our alley here on WICC. When should I take Social Security? This is a controversial one, Bill, and I'm not even joking about that one. I get this question a lot from our listeners.
It's very controversial. There's always a difference of opinion on Social Security. So let's just talk basics for a moment. You can begin to take Social Security age 62. You'll get a lower benefit. Typically, the full retirement age for Social Security is 66, and most people now are going to be around 67. But you can delay your Social Security until age 70. And it will increase by approximately 8% a year. So the question is, when do you take it? And there's a huge camp of people that say, well, get your money right away and take it early on in your 60s. You want to make sure you get as much from the government. And then there's a camp of people that are always talking about, should I wait? Take it at age 70. You'll get more money for the rest of your life. So this is a difference of opinion, obviously. We've done some studies. We found that no matter when you take it, earlier or later, there's typically a crossover point later in the 70s where you end up with the same amount of money. But that said, like in many cases, and almost always with good financial planning, it really depends on the individual, their circumstances, if they're working, if they're married, if they're not working, and certainly what their other sources of income are.
Does it matter what your plans are, Bill? And when I say that, like, are you planning on owning a second home, for example? Like, does your retirement plans matter as well? Like, does that factor in?
Well, I think it does because, every financial decision that one makes should typically be solely driven for the purpose of their lifestyle, right? What do they want to achieve? How do they want to live their life? And certainly those decisions are made based upon how much income they need, right? How much income and cash flow do they need to be able to achieve the goals or lifestyle that they want to live in retirement.
Again, we've got Bill Leavitt here, who is with Bridgelight Financial Advisors, talking about retirement income and what we should be planning for in that next phase of life. How about picking a pension option, Bill? What's your suggestion on that?
Pensions are almost a dying breed in our country. There was a time where most workers could rely on a company to provide a pension for them for the rest of their life, and they've shrunk by tens of thousands in this country. And so if you're the lucky one who still has a pension, and they still exist, you have to make sure that you're making very good decisions about that pension option because what people may not know when they're going to retire and receive that pension is they have a number of options to determine how much they're going to take over the rest of their life. And I think one of the biggest factors is making that determination is if you have a spouse or you're going to leave some money to somebody, you may take in consideration that you want to take a benefit that is going to make sure that it passes on to them if something happens to you. And so all these options are within the realm of that.
Again, we have Bill Leavitt here. And so as we talk about retirement income, what retirement savings account should you pull from, Bill? Because this is another one that could be really tricky, and it's not like a one-size-fits-all for everybody.
Yeah, so, one of the things that people do is they're preparing for retirement, Melissa. They're thinking about where they're going to be saving their money, right? How do I save? Where do I put it? How do I accumulate that money? Am I putting it in an IRA? Am I adding money to a 401k? And these are all important things. One of the things that I find many people don't do is they get close to retirement and they haven't spent enough time or had enough guidance to be able to determine where's the best place to start withdrawing the funds out for the future. And how much am I going to get from that savings? And one of the biggest things, as you and I always talk about, is what's going to be the taxes on that money. And there's definitely different ways for you to be able to pull money out of retirement savings and do it tax efficiently and maximize the amount of income.
And what would you, I guess, again, how do you even start to predict that, though, Bill, especially when, we don't know, for example, what, who's even going to be elected in November. We don't know what will happen with taxes, inflation, things like that. How do you even begin to kind of, I guess, decipher or navigate what would be the best, account that would work for you in your retirement when there are so many unknowns, if that's the best way to ask?
I think that it's a really good question, although I don't really think that the politics or what's going on in the country has a huge impact on the decision that one should make when they're pulling income out of their retirement savings. I think it has a lot to do with the kind of accounts that they have, and for them to understand if they're going to take income, let's say out of an IRA or a 401k, that they must pay taxes on it. So it's all tax-deferred money in those kind of accounts, and that's typically where most Americans put their retirement savings. They're putting it in a 401k, they're putting money in an IRA, they're getting a tax deduction. It's all growing tax-deferred. But when they get into retirement, they have to understand it all becomes taxable to them. So they have a partner in that withdrawal of that retirement savings, and they have to understand that no matter what tax bracket they're in, a portion of that money is actually not theirs, it's the government's. So let's say I have $500,000 in an IRA account when I hit retirement, and I'm in a 20% tax bracket. Technically, 20% of that $500,000 or $100,000 is not theirs. It's actually the government's, because when they withdraw the money out, they have to give it to the government.
Right.
So it's really to understand that that's the impact of that. And when you start taking income, you have to understand that you're really not going to get as much as you may think. And that's the calculation or the process that people need to go through to understand exactly how much they're going to get. And that ties in with how much do I get in Social Security, how much am I getting in a pension if I have it, and how much am I taking out of my retirement savings. And that kind of combines, if you will, if you have all those sources, how much income you're going to get and how much taxes you're going to pay on it.
Interesting. Well, it's a huge, I think, it's a huge decision for people to make, all the things that we just talked to Bill about, things like your pension or when to take Social Security. But I think it's a huge, to me, reason why you should be working with a financial advisor. I think it just brings you that peace of mind. You are working with somebody who has the knowledge behind this and can really, again, tailor a plan that would make sense for your retirement income and making sure you're selecting what would be best for you and your future plans. So, Bill, if people want to work with you and your team over at Bridgelight Financial Advisors, what is the best way to reach you?
Well, one of the things I think your listeners can do is just go up to our website and get a retirement income planning checklist. It's a great tool to be able to help begin to make these kind of decisions, and they can go to bridgelightadvisors.com to do that, or they definitely can reach us directly if they like to at 203-795-7080.
Bill, I always love chatting with you. You make things that feel very complicated to me sound very simple, so I appreciate you for that.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for having me on. It was good talking with you again today.
Love talking to you, too, for our Financial Fridays here on WICC. That is Bill Leavitt, and we love chatting with Bill, who is the founder and principal advisor at Bridgelight Financial Advisors. Also, Bill, really quick, don't go anywhere. Really, really quick. I want to let people know, because it's coming up next week, you have your next financial taxes in retirement event at El Palio, right? You have 2 days open?
We do have 2 dates open next week, and one of the things we're going to talk a lot about is not just taxes, but the taxation on income, and it really ties into the topic that we talked about today.
Okay, so people just have to go to your website and they can register for that?
They sure can. They go up to their website, the spot to be able to register. We're going to talk about things I think are going to be really impactful and are going to help a lot.
Fantastic. So, again, that is bridgelightadvisors.com. And those free workshops, they're coming up May 21st and 23rd at El Palio right here in Shelton. Bill, thank you so much. I always love chatting with you.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for having me on. It was good talking with you.
Of course. Bill Leavitt, again, who is with Bridgelight Financial Advisors here on WICC. The website is bridgelightadvisors.com. Let's go to traffic and weather. You're listening to Melissa in the Morning.